What's up guys, NCG here, and I'm bringing to you guys a new deck profile for you lot. One that I've just recently finished. Just was acquiring one card for the extra deck. And this deck is Roids. Now this is VHIC Roids, but it does play the Speed Roid engine in here just because the Speed Roids do meld quite well with this archetype, especially because of thanks to Mixer Roid being a wind machine Roid. So with all that, and also this guy just requires Roids just to make it, and all the speed Roids do just technically count as Roid monsters. So when all mixed together, this deck does look, and you know, it just melds quite nicely. I'm still playtesting it, and as I've recently just put it together. But there is theories behind all the options that I put in here, just to make it as consistent as possible, just to get to your combo pieces, just to get to the bits that you want. This is a fusion focused build, but just because I think the VHIC fusions are really nice and really unique. But you can obviously take this build and meld it into a build that suits your personal preference. So with that said and done, I'm going to get to this deck. So you obviously have to play the three mixer Roids. Now you contribute one machine monster, special summon one non-wind Roid monster from your deck. You can pay half your life points and banish any number of machine monsters from your graveyard, including this card special summon from the extra one Roid fusion with the same level as the number of those banished monsters, ignoring its summoning conditions, but destroy it during the end phase. You can play one mixer Roid per turn. So he gets your other Roids onto the field, and it's very easy to set up this play because you can literally just summon Mixer Roid, special summon a Speed Roid, like your Takaton, and then you can release Takaton and use his effect to special summon any one of your other machine Roid, non-wind Roids from your deck, allowing you to get more monsters onto the board. Ideally, you could also special summon Terratop first, and then normal summon Mixer Roid, and do the same way with that. So, obviously, this guy is really good. He's also good for your fusion plays as well, because he can just summon any of your VHIC Roids, regardless of fusion materials, because I do recall it ignores summoning conditions. Yes, it ignores summoning conditions. Only downside is popped during the end phase. Next, we have our three Express Roids. Express Roid is actually really good in this deck, especially in combination with another Roid, which I'll get to in a minute. When this card is summoned, you can target two Roids in your graveyard, except the Express Roid, and add those targets to your hand. So it's kind of like a warrior returning alive, but in a monster form, and it gets you two back, which is actually really nice because it combos again very well with this guy, which is Ambulance Roid. Now, Ambulance Roid is that when a Roid is added to your hand, you can special summon it. So if my rulings are correct me if I am wrong, if you play Express Roid and you have Ambulance Roid in play, I think you get both the summons. I think you summon both the monsters, which, if that is true, that is busted. But at very worst case scenario, you get at least one of those summons. So it's really, really good, especially because I think, yeah, Roid just adds Roid, so you can add the Speed Roids. And yeah, so if you can add you could actually add the Speed Roids back to your hand and summon the Speed Roids. So that's also really good. So you can see guys how the Speed Roids and the V Roids, the Vehicle Roids, just meld very well just because of the names are just Roids. It's kind of like how D heroes and E heroes just work together just because they're all heroes. So I do play two more Vehicle Roids, which is one Truck Roid. Truck Roid just helps give you defense. He's just a nice defender, but he's also, in certain situations, can be a nice attacker just because when he destroys something, he equips that monster to it, and then he gains that monster's attack points. So he can get beefy. He is just mostly in here for a name, so you could take this out for any other Roid. I just wanted a low level Roid for for this deck. And I do play one Submarine Roid as well, just because I do actually really like Submarine Roid. I think Submarine Roid is just a nice little monster, and can just do some nice chip damage while also being a defender at the same time. But ideally, guys, you can take these two Roids out for anything. You could probably put like a Drill Roid in here for a different name. You could put an Rescue Roid in here if you wanted to. Like, literally, these two slots are completely up to your personal preference. You could even take these two out and put more Speed Roids in here. So that's the Vehicle Roids. For the non-Vehicle Roids, obviously, it's Speed Roids now. 1 Terratop, because he's at 1, unfortunately. I do hope this gets up at least up to 2. I think 2 on the banners would be a very nice number for this card. 2 Takenton Borgs. I'm thinking of upping this card to 3, just because he does, like, no pun intended, mix very well with Mixeroid, just being a free wind machine summon. I do play one Red-Eye Dice for the help of the Synchro plays. I do play one Tri-Eye Dice, not only for the Synchro plays, but for the attack negation. And to round up the monsters, I do play 3 Menkos, just because you do sometimes need a bit of setup with this deck, so being able to just like stall your opponent out, yeah, it doesn't switch link monsters, but it's still a nice name as well for the deck at the worst case scenario. So those are the monsters, guys. Those two aside. For the spells, you're obviously going to play 3 of the city and 1 terraforming. I don't want to brick too much on terraforming when you're playing 1. So with this card, you can target 1 other card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Roid card from your deck to your hand. So it's a nice rotor for the deck. And then during damage calculation, if a Roid monster battles, you can send 1 Roid monster from your deck to the graveyard. Switch the original attack and defense of your battling monster during the damage calculation only. You can only use each effect of Mega Roid City once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects, even if it leaves the field. So yes, it does lock you into the fusion part of your extra deck, but with the strong fusions that you have in your extra deck, that limitation is not that much of a problem. And since we are the fusion build of this deck, it's even less much of a problem. The synchros in the extra deck are literally there for both names for being Roids and to just give this deck a little bit more options. But you want to get to Mega Roid City because it is your rotor of the deck, and so you play one of the Terraform to search it. Sorry guys, I got some cold or problem with my body at the moment. I don't know if it's a cold or a hay fever, so apologies if I snivels. For my fusion spells, I do play 3 of the Vehicle Connection Zones, and there's a nice little nod to Cyrus. I do play the 1 Power Bond. Power Bond, though, you can all guys understand the powers of Power Bond, being able to double your monster's attack points if you go into a monster that can get its attack points doubled. So I do play it in here. Though you can take this card out for anything you want, guys. Again, it's completely up to you. But the Vehicle Connection Zone is fusion summon Vehicle fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. And if you do, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and its effects cannot be negated. So it's a really powerful fusion spell. It's very funny how, like in the GX era, some of these like archetypes like heroes and vehicles just got some ridiculously strong fusion spells, like giving them protection and immunity for effect negations. It's just so busted. So Vehicle Connection Zone is a really good spell. So there's that. Because of the latest fusion monster for the extra deck requires a Vehicle fusion. I do play 2 copies of Instant Fusion because we can just get pair Roid and literally have the fusion monster out straight away to make our big fusion monster. I do play 1 Monster Reborn because it's Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole because it's Dark Hole, 2 MSTs with the back row hate, and that's our spells. This deck is structured to be on a budget, so you guys can take literally all the budget cards out of this deck and just add in more high quality. I want to say quality, but you guys know what I mean. So like example, Dark Hole for Regeki, etc. For the traps, we do play 3 Emergency Roid Call. This card is when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a Void Fusion monster, negate the activation, then send all cards with the same name as that card from the activating player's extra deck to the graveyard. So a really busted effect negation there. You can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one Void monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Void, Emergency Void, once per turn. So this is a really strong effect negation for the deck. It's kind of got like a chain destruction kind of like ability as well added to it. So if your opponent foolishly activates a card where you have a Void in play, flip this card, just negate it and just destroy everything else of that name. And otherwise it's also a bit of a cycling ability for the deck. For your draw power, I know it's slow guys because it's a trap, but this card is actually really nice for this deck just because of all the Void names. You can activate this card when your opponent declares an attack, while the only monsters you control are machine type Void monsters. Draw 2 cards. So you can probably up this to 3 if you're on the budget. You can probably take this card out for Pot of Desires. Completely up to you. I just wanted to keep the Void theme and keep this card in. And to round up the deck, I do play just 2 Mirror Forces. Again, budget build. Mirror Force is just naturally strong there anyway. So that's the main deck. The extra deck I do play 3 of the new big guy because this is the one I want to go into the most. This guy is really good for this deck. So I'm dropping this guy everywhere. He takes 1 Void Fusion monster and 1 Void monster, so instant fusion and any other Void in your deck. You can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Special summon 1 Void monster from your deck or extra deck with attack less than or equal to that monster. You can only use this effect of Super Vehicle mobile based once per turn. Once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 Void monster in your main monster zone. Other than this card, return that monster you control to the hand, and if you do, move this card you control to that monster's monster zone. So, as he states in the name, he moves around. But he does, other than just being able to move around so he gets out of your extra monster zone, he just allows you to get to your other Void fusions with the greatest of ease. So literally just being able to, the stronger your opponent's monster has, the stronger a monster you can get onto the board. I do play 1 Barber Roid, the ultimate battle machine. He takes 5 machine Void monsters. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. This card cannot attack your opponent directly. After damage calculation, if this card attacked an opponent's monster, negate the effects of that monster, including in the graveyard. If this card destroys a opponent's monster by battle, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So, again, sorry guys, my cold or whatever is just kicking in now. So he's just a big beefy monster. Very easy to summonable for Mixer Roid. So if you can get this guy out and your opponent's field is full, it's going to deal a lot of damage with this card. I do play, just for the fun, Super Vehicle Void Stealth Union. Unfortunately my one is a different language in terms of the effects. But when this card attacks, its original attack is halved until the end of the damage step. During battle between this card and a defense position monster's defense is lower, inflict the difference as damage. Once per turn during your main phase, you can select 1 face-up monster in the field, except the machine type monster, and equip it to this card. While equipped by this effect, this card can attack all your opponent's monsters. So he just helps get around like fields of monsters. So you know that's literally it. If your opponent has a field full of tokens somehow, and it's still your turn, you can just like wipe them all out. But he's literally in here just for the fun. You're mostly going to be summoning this guy, Vehicle Roid Jumbo Drill. He does piercing battle damage, and that's literally it, really. But he's a nice 3,000 attack point monster that's probably easy to summon off the mobile base. Sorry guys, I really do apologise. I do play, for the names, 1 Ambulance Rescue Roid. This monster cannot be special summoned except by fusion summons, but obviously you have cards in the deck that can get around that ability. Off my top of my head, Mixer Roid. And once per turn, when a monster on the side of the field is destroyed by battle and sent to graveyard, you can special summon that monster in defense position. So he just helps get your monsters back. I do play obviously the Parasite Wisp for the instant fusion. This card is really important in this deck just because it helps you get to your mobile base like quickly as possible. So that's the fusion monsters. For this synchros, I literally just play the simple options that my speed warriors can go into. So clearing is actually really nice for your monsters protections, because if they try and target one of your high level monsters, clearing can negate it. You've got your Kendama, or just again the names. Chambar is probably the one you're going to go into the most just for the extra attacks. And then you've got your Hagohita. So again, just for the names. I do play one Link monster, which is the Cleefort. But obviously, guys, because everything in here is a wind, this is a nod for the next set coming out where we're going to be getting the Bladefly. So if you do plan on making this deck, or you have this deck already, you will know that we're going to be getting a nice Link monster for this deck, just to give our monsters that nice little 500 attack points in the form of the Link to Bladefly. So guys, that's the deck. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope my cold hasn't, or hay fever, or whatever it wants to call itself, has ruined this for you. I just hope that hasn't happened. But this is a really fun deck. I do hope I explained at least some of the options to the best of my abilities. Again, this is a newly built deck for me, but I just wanted to bring this guys to you just because I got the last card and I just thought, you know, why not share this deck with you guys? We can probably discuss it. We can actually discuss it in the comments below, as I always like to do it with my videos, or the videos on here in general. So guys, again, I hope you all enjoyed it. Stay tuned to the channel for tons of Yu-Gi-Oh content, whether it's decks, discussions, topics, all that kind of stuff, news, you know, you name it, we can probably bring it, and probably will. So guys, until next time, keep having fun.